Okay, so this was the first swing of the lesson before we implemented any changes. And if you recall, you were setting up with the toe line well to the right of the intended target, but then your club face was aimed at the target. So again, our brains are a lot smarter than we give ourselves credit for. So that's really setting you up to come down a little bit steep here. If you remember, you're going to come down steep, cut across it. It's just going to be hard to be consistent from here. This one you cut off the hosel. So recommendation number one, and we'll get to the aftermath, but we want to get your toes parallel to that club face. So that's a big deal. It's set up. We talked about strengthening your grip, but if we watch the pattern, right, here's the plane line. Let's just see what happens here. You were lifting your hands up and away, rolling the club way to the inside. So this is almost parallel to the ground, super what we call flat. Where again, if we take Xander as an example, he's dead parallel to the plane. See how he's in a much more vertical position? And then on the way down, he's actually going to be shallow relative to how he took it back. So he's going from steep to shallow, where you're going from hands lifting, rolling it to shallow, again, across the line at the top here, to then coming down a little bit steep. So again, I know I'm repeating myself, but your pattern was shallow to steep, where we want to actually be steep to shallow. So why don't we do this? I'm going to go over to the next clip. One of the key drills we did was the Ben Hogan pane of glass with the noodle, and you're going to see some phenomenal results relative to where you were here. Okay, so this was after doing some drills. Now, might have overdid the toe line just a little bit going left, but watch how impressive this is. Here's your takeaway. Hands are tracing that red line. Club head is going up the plane. I mean, and again, critical detail here, drill, right? Just we had the T embedded into the grip. So again, this is so much better here versus the before swing. And again, remember with this noodle, if you're doing this at home, or you have a setup like this, I would actually make this a little more challenging and put it kind of over your, over your shoulder a little bit. But this is a day and night difference. I mean, here you are at the top, right there. I mean, you draw a line here and you're basically parallel to the plane. Your hands are in a better position. You're no longer pointed into right field. You look at the structure of the arms. I mean, this is really amazing. And then coming down as a result of all this, how cool is this? The club head, which I'm marking right here as I'm talking, is actually underneath the hands. So you're coming on an in to out path, probably for the first time, I don't know, maybe ever. So if that club face was closed relative to the path, it would draw. This club face looked pretty square. I mean, this was an awesome shot. Just a tremendous, tremendous job here. Hips are a little more open, so that's really cool. And again, you just look at the shape to your swing. I mean, look how much closer this is to Xander, right? Major difference there. And the goal isn't to copy Xander, right? It's just whether it's Tommy Fleetwood or, again, a Max Homa. Again, I like to use Ben Hogan as a model. There's just certain patterns with good ball strikers with the plane and how they move the club. So again, make sure that, with the alignment rod, we'll just be setting that, again, parallel to the club face. But again, tremendous, tremendous job here. And I know that you really had to stretch the imagination because in golf, feel and real are generally not the same thing. You have to go a mile to get an inch. So again, if I were to put like a noodle here, or just pretended like there were razor blades there, you're going to feel like you have to pull your hands a lot more inward. And again, this is where you start hinging the club. Outstanding. Now, long term, again, just going under a microscope here, I probably don't want to, again, overwhelm you with swing thoughts, but you asked about shallowing the club, right? And you're doing a pretty darn good job here. But if you look at Xander, his right elbow there, he's going to have it more in front of the body than you. So your right elbow's trapped behind you. Again, you could use a balloon, the Tour Striker, impact ball. That's another drill I would do to get that right elbow more in front. When the right elbow gets more in front of the body, even though your plane here is, I would give you a 9, maybe even a 10 out of 10. I mean, this swing plane is outstanding, but when we talk about, you were hitting the ball a little high, compressing the ball, in other words, forward shaft lean, we will get a view of that from the face on view in a moment. Again, when we get your weight shifting, just looking at your lower body here, just so I'm thorough. If you watch the back of your right heel, there's a little bit of a excessive load into the right side for an iron. So again, long term, short term, I would just keep doing this until it's a habit, because this swing here is just simpler, better. You're parallel to the plane. I mean, that's awesome. But long term, I would be keeping an eye on the pressure in the right foot and the way you're moving the lower body. But again, that's just really, really good. Let me switch over to the face on view. That way you can see why some of these shots were going a little high, and we can talk about compressing the ball with the irons. All right, now this is, again, the face on view. So again, whether you're recording yourself, practicing, it's essentially aimed, at the sternum or belly button. And with the grip, I would, again, have your hands a little more connected. So here's an overlap. Tommy Fleetwood, you see how he has his right hand really covering that thumb. So we talked about that. Strengthening the grip will help you close that club face a little more naturally. And if you fix that grip, you're still missing to the right, then, we can talk about turning the club face over. But let's just take a look at the swing here. These lines, every time I draw a line, we're just measuring how you're moving relative to where you started. So as you go back, you can see, and again, very little wrist set from the face on view before we corrected this. So, here's Tommy Fleetwood. I know it's kind of a blurred image, but you really want to aim for what I call the L shape. So when the left arm is parallel to the ground, you would have that club hinged somewhere up here. And then if we look at your pivot, so this is interesting. I'm just watching your head here. And this is coming from the ground up. This isn't like you're not doing anything necessarily wrong with the head. If we watch your hips, so you got a little bit of a sway here, if you can see that. So this is a drill, actually. There's about the third student in a row now I've had this, where if we watch Fleetwood, we could park. If you go to the gym, you can take a yoga ball, park it against the left hip, and then suppose there's a wall here, and just fill that gap. So we're going to fill that with a yoga ball. Because if you watch the way he's turning, he's not creating a gap there. His hips are rotating around, right? Or if we go back to you have a little bit of a sway with the pelvis. And again, that's why from down the line we saw that weight stack to your right side there. So again, a little more wrist set for sure. We talked about the plane from down the line quite a bit. As you come down, this is good to see. We want to see some lateral shift. Like here's Tommy Fleetwood, definitely driving laterally with the hips. But when we talk about compression, and clear these lines, so there's that forward shaft lean. You see that? So we'll just call this, if this was 90, I'm just guesstimating, 13 degrees. He's not hitting 13 degrees down on the ball, but you'll get the idea here. When you hit the ball, check out where the club is. It's actually the opposite way. See that? And again, with if we did that balloon in between the arms or the impact ball, and you're going to start to see the right elbow on the way down dig underneath the left arm, like kind of like this. See that right there? So here's his right elbow digging underneath the left arm. And again, I wouldn't maybe go crazy from the face-on view since we talked about so much. I would just master the noodles, the pane of glass, the takeaway. That's plenty. When you go to the course, remember, one swing thought is enough. If you're thinking about 5 things, we're working on too much at once. But on the range, we can be a little more analytical. And this video summary is just to help, watch it as many times as you need over and over so you can kind of see. But, ideally, again, we get your swing to stop right there because as you continue going back, there's a gap between the arms, right? We can see his arms a little more connected. So he would be, if there was a balloon or that impact ball or the tour striker, he'd be having pressure on that. Or with you, the ball would probably fall out. And again, this is why you're hitting the ball so high, is you actually, instead of having shaft lean, you have your club tilted the other way. All right, well, let me know if this makes sense. Shoot me a text with any questions. Again, really amazing job when you look at those 2 before and after comparisons from down the line. So keep up the great work. Always practice with a purpose. I would be using a camera a lot when you're doing drills at home, at the range, and so forth. So